Hello guys and welcome to today's video where today we're going to be going through our NRL tips and predictions for round 7 of the 2025 NRL season. Last week started off really badly in terms of the tipping. Eventually I think we got to 2 and 6 at one point, but eventually Sunday kind of clawed it back for us as we did go 4 of 8. So we're still maintaining, I guess, like a 50% record, which isn't great, but I mean with how the season's been and like how confusing it is, I don't think it's that bad. But going to try to do better. Hopefully, as we go into Easter, hopefully there's some luck of the bunny. I realise that's the wrong holiday, but anyways, let's get into it. Starting out on Thursday, we have the Manly Sea Eagles up against the St George Illawarra Dragons. Now, Manly, of 13 plus in involvement of their matches, has officially ended. Last week, they lost in a close game to the Cronulla Sharks, 24 points to 18 over in Perth. And the St George Illawarra Dragons had a really pretty decent display, in all honesty, on Friday when they kind of dismantled the Gold Coast Titans. We actually saw a bit of this action, so that's pretty good of them. Going into this game, Manly currently sitting in 8th, while the Dragons just outside on 10th. I think this is probably going to be one of the more closer matches for the season. This is going to be interesting. I hate saying it, but that's just the word that always comes to my mouth for some reason. And I think there's obviously going to be kind of a test more so about where the Dragons currently sit. Because I'm a person that did have them in the top 8 this year of breaking their finals droughts. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they go against a team like Manly at Brookvale. I think this will be close, but I'm going to trust the underdog. I'm going to say that the Dragons will get the job done on Thursday. Now we move into Friday, Good Friday, 4 or 5 p.m. It's a traditional Good Friday match. It is the Canterbury Bulldogs up against the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Now the Bulldogs are coming off a bye and still remain the undefeated team in the NRL. It's very good to see. Hopefully they can continue it throughout the season. Hopefully their fans don't get carried away too much. But yeah, it's going to be really good to see about the Bulldogs, especially in terms of like the last couple of years where they haven't done well, that they're starting to come back to, I guess, normalcy of how they were back in the day. And they're taking on the South Sydney Rabbitohs, who were also one of the teams that went out to Perth last week, but this time losing to the North Queensland Cowboys. Now, this big crowd expected, I believe they're saying close to 70,000, which is, I mean, for a regular season game is pretty good, especially with a Good Friday, because both teams going all right. It's like, what happens when teams are going good? It's, yeah, it's like, but it's good to see, you know. But now going into this match, the Bulldogs have lost the last 6 Good Friday meetups, which is kind of weird because we obviously with the last, since like the middle of last year, we're just thinking, oh, the Bulldogs being one of the best teams in the competition, but it hasn't happened in this match yet. But I think it will happen. I believe the Bulldogs will continue their undefeated streak and they will beat the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Now we go on to the 8 p.m. game on Good Friday, and we have the Dolphins taking on the Melbourne Storm. Now the Dolphins put the smackdown on Penrith. Like, genuinely, I don't know if it was more so just how good the Dolphins played or how bad Penrith had become, but it was a really, really bizarre match. And then you go into the Melbourne Storm, who just, like, it was 36-0 at half-time against the Warriors, really making a point about how good this team is and will be. Like, they for me currently at the moment, it's like them and the Bulldogs are the standard bearers when it comes to the NRL honestly, could be the grand final. I'm just going to say casually at this point. Now, I know it's like $4.45. We're in that range of like upset kind of last week, you know, like that Roosters result against the Broncos, but I'm not too sure how this will go. I'm going to try to stay safe because I am coward. And so I think the Melbourne Storm should be able to get the job done on Friday. Now we move on to Easter Saturday, and we have the New Zealand Warriors up against the Brisbane Broncos. Now, Warriors, as mentioned in the previous tip, are coming off a pretty seismic loss to the Melbourne Storm. They were played off the park, unfortunately. They did kind of win the second half, but I mean, the game was already over by the time halftime happened. The Brisbane Broncos losing to the Sydney Roosters in a pretty decent upset, to say the very least, as despite what every Roosters fans claim that it was never in doubt. stop lying to yourselves. But yeah, Brisbane weren't playing too great here. Brisbane's still pretty sizable favourites. I mean, 'cause I think like Brisbane are just a little too inconsistent. So this is like a type of match they probably will end up winning. Yeah, but then like say like next week they just won. They're kind of like Cronulla a little way. It's like you can't really get a read them. Like they're obviously a good team, but it's whether or not they actually apply themselves. And I think for Saturday, I'm expecting a little bit of chaos on Saturday. So I'm going to say that I think the Warriors are going to win. I've got no basis on it whatsoever. I just think it will happen for some reason because New Zealand in it. Now we go into the Saturday 7:35 game, and we've got the Sydney Roosters up against the Penrith Panthers. Both teams currently in the bottom 4. It's 15th versus 16th. The Roosters, obviously, mentioned in the previous tip, caused a pretty seismic upset, defeating the Brisbane Broncos, and the Penrith Panthers still yet to win in Australia since going to Vegas. It's the Panthers. It's so weird to see them being at the bottom of the ladder because of how good they've been over the last 5-6 years. It's very weird. Now going into this game, the Penrith Panthers currently are the favourites. Why? I'm not really too sure, to be honest. I know like Cleary and all that stuff, but you got to like just try like. In fairness, I feel like I've tipped the Panthers in every single game they've had in Australia this year, and they've not won. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go upset, continuing with what I think is Saturday is going to be chaos. I think the Roosters are going to win this game, but just watch Penrith now all of a sudden win for absolutely no reason because now I don't tip them. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm preparing for to happen. Now we go on to Easter Sunday when the chocolates are out and the Lord has risen. We have the Gold Coast Titans up against the Canberra Raiders in a fairly interesting and even tipped-off match. You've got the Titans who are coming off a pretty decent loss to the Dragons. I think it's still played like okay, in complete honesty. It's just the Dragons were just more ready for the match. And the Canberra Raiders are coming back from the scorching heat in Darwin up and putting 50 on the Parramatta Eels. And it's like, damn, at what point do we have to consider and talk to ourselves that the Raiders could be a top 4 team? I feel like we have to wait a little bit, wait till Origin happens, but like, yeah, this is it's exciting to see with how Canberra, because they've kind of gone under the radar a lot so far, but I think this is going to be a close game. It's up at the Gold Coast. I feel like if any game is going to go to like a golden point, this I think would be the one, and I'm going to stick with the favourites. I'm going to say I think Canberra will get the win, but I think there is an ample opportunity for the Titans to get it done. And now we go on to the 4 p.m. kickoff on Easter Sunday, and we have the Newcastle Knights up against the Cronulla Sharks. As a Knights fan, I'm petrified of this match. Now, the Knights are coming off a 20-4 loss to the West Tigers, and I'm surprised I didn't drop it as I was saying that sentence, because that's all we just ended up doing. And the Cronulla Sharks were able to get a close win over Manly in Perth. And yeah, I'm quite concerned. I don't know how many of the Knights players are going to be there because we do have a long injury list. I think out of the ones that are going to be the most likely, James Schiller, who's going to get off his concussion stand-down period, so I think he should be around. But yeah, I feel like if any match this season is going to be the Knights conceding 50, it's going to be this one. And I'm going to say, yeah, the Sharks win massively. Or the Knights win because f*** your tips. And now we go on to, and it's good to say, Monday. We need more Monday Rugby League. Hopefully when this new team comes in, there should be with New Guinea. We have Easter Monday football. It is the West Tigers up against the Parramatta Eels. Now, the West Tigers are coming off beating the Newcastle Knights 20-4. If I ever packed a crown at McDonald Jones Stadium, because I guess they just held on to the f***ing ball. The Parramatta Eels are coming off their loss, conceding 50 to the Canberra Raiders, which we don't know if it cancels out the one they got in round 1, or is it like 2 negatives don't make a positive. We don't know. We'll just have to figure out and see. I feel like this could be a match where it's going to be a lot closer than people think, but I mean, kind of in like how Parramatta, got their first win over the Dragons. It is a CommBank. Should be a pretty decent crowd there for obviously being an Easter Monday game. But I'm going to stay being a bit of a favourites picker somewhat for this match. And I'm going to say I think the West Tigers get the job done. And that's my tips. So just a quick run through of what my tips are for this week. We have the Dragons, the Bulldogs, the Storm, the Warriors, the Roosters, the Raiders, the Sharks, and the Tigers. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you all later.